That's about $1,000. That's definitely like $1,200 bucks. $1,000, $500, $100, all kinds of. Hey, welcome back to Yogi's Garage. Yes, you caught me. I'm counting my child's college fund sitting here on the table. But if I can put it all back together, she may be able to get an education. So maybe you can help me with that. Anyway, we got a great episode today at Yogi's Garage. If this is your first time visiting, thank you, welcome. I've been working on a few projects in Yogi's Garage, one of which has been a 1995 Mercedes-Benz E320 wagon. Fortunately, didn't get a whole lot of love on that video content, but I do have Porsche content, and that's probably why you're here. That's probably why most of my viewers are here. Yes, I am rebuilding my Porsche 911 engine, which happens to go in this beautiful machine over here that's been up on the jacks since about January or February of earlier this year. It's been so long I don't even remember. And so I'm getting all my parts laid out. I've got to start rebuilding the engine. And again, if this is your first time visiting, be sure to click that pop-up banner above so you can get caught up on the 911 content, because this is not just an engine rebuild. I actually took the engine to LN Engineering and had them bored out to a 4-liter and put Nicosil liners in it. So this engine is going to be pretty much indestructible for the next 100,000 miles for my use or for anybody else who gets the pleasure of driving this car. So we're right at the infancy of building the crankcase, putting the carrier bearing shells together, slapping it all into the engine, and then putting it in the car. So we're at the beginning. I got a lot to show you. But first, I got to clean out this garage. It looks clean right now, but when we go in our time machine, you're going to see that this garage was pretty darn filthy. And I had a wagon in here that I need to get out. And now here we are. So with that said, enjoy the video. I'll see you on the other side. And I'm so close to fixing this. This is where the latch attaches. This is the latch right here, but it's catching right here and not quite extending. So what I'm going to try to use is my pliers here. Just kind of bend this up without breaking it. So you can see that right there needs to get past that black tab. And so close. Yep, there it goes. Okay, so I got that, but now will it close? There. Okay. Cool. All better now. Or not, if I sit on it. There. Now it's on. Okay. Whew. This car's pretty, man, but damn, it's hot. It's about 100 degrees here in Houston. So I gotta try to recharge this bad boy. I'm gonna give this a go and see what the measurement is before I charge it up. So let's see what I gotta do. So I gotta start the car up and pop the hood. And then I'm gonna find the low pressure port on this car. Let's see, where are you at? Here you go. Pop the hood. That little rattling sound you hear, I think it's coming from the clutch on the fan. So the engine purrs fine. All right, so there is the low pressure service port right there. So I'm gonna pop that open. Yeah, so there's something else going on with this thing. It does not need AC coolant. So that was $50 wasted, but hey, I didn't drain it, so maybe I can return this. Yeah, well, I was mistaken. You saw me start the car, but what I failed to do was turn on the air conditioner. If you don't turn on the air conditioner, you're going to get a reading in the red basically saying, hey, dummy, read the instructions. this is what happens when you neglect one engine for a couple of other ones. Yogi Mama's car gets dirty. Frowny face. Dang, check that out. I got these on Amazon. They're pretty stable. I think they'll serve the purpose of holding it. That's sitting on the spark plug thread, so I'm not so sure it's supposed to go there, but I think it'll work. And it holds it pretty well. So that's how I'm gonna revalve everything and get everything back on. This looks good. All right, now that that's all done and I've got all my stuff put over there, I'm good. So now I gotta finish dismantling this inline 6, but hey guys, leave me a comment below to let me know whether or not I should keep this inline 6 and do something with it or recycle it. It did have a blown, there was some damage done, as if you haven't seen that video where I found nuts and bolts in this engine, be sure to check it out. But I think I'm gonna scope the bores, see if they're still in round. But this is a tank engine, inline 6, Mercedes-Benz. I gotta be able to do something with this. Maybe stick it in some other car. I'm looking for ideas, guys. Let me know what you think. But right now I need to dismantle all of this other stuff to get the timing chains off, get the crank out of here, get all the pistons, the throttle body, all of that's gotta come off so that only thing left is the block. Let's get started.
So Yogi, what are you doing?
I'm cleaning up the crankshaft and the bearing carrier over there.
Yeah.
I got to measure tolerances and clearances and all that stuff to make sure that the engine's in good shape before I put it all together.
Okay.
Yeah.
Seems a little intensive.
It is. It's pretty stressful. I'm working with a master engine builder right now to make sure that my numbers check out.
That's awesome.
The guy just volunteered to help me, and I took him up on the offer. So I was like, okay, well.
Who doesn't take someone up on that offer?
To help rebuild a Porsche? I know. But yeah, he's insisting that I take intricate clearance notes on the bearings and the connecting rods and things like that. So I got to reteach myself on how to do all that and then do it. But I have a few parts that I need to order. So right now I'm just cleaning it up and getting it ready for clearance testing.
Okay. So
boring stuff, man.
a little hurry up and wait.
A lot of hurry up and wait. I got all my parts and then I'm like, ugh, I got to measure clearances because he's telling me that a lot or a large lot of bearings that came out of Porsche were messed up.
Really?
And he thinks that mine may be in that group. I gave him the numbers of the datum date. They're called datums.
Uh-huh.
And he said those are questionable.
Really?
So
how would you know for sure?
Well, he said they were in a date range of ones that he had rebuilt before that came back as being shoddy.
Okay. But I guess so my question is, how do you know if they're shoddy?
Well, I compare it to the numbers, right?
Right. Oh, so that's what you're measuring.
Yeah, so this, I have to measure the inside measurements here with the bearings and then measure the outside of the conrod, or I'm sorry, of the crankshaft and determine the clearance, the number, that little tiny thousandths of an inch number of clearance between the bearing and the journal.
I see.
And then that will look at it from different locations to make sure that one, it's not warped, and two, there's no issues with clearance and tolerances, because then you'll have issues with oil pressure.
And so let's say that they are shoddy or there is an issue. What recourse do you have?
If they are, then I would need a new crankshaft and or a new bearing carrier over there. But risks are low. This is to, dot your I's, cross your T's, knowing the first time you turn that engine over, you've done everything you possibly can to make sure that it's going to be successful.
All right.
And if that means you take a few more extra numbers and spend a day or two guaranteeing your clearances are accurate, then I will be able to rest easy at night knowing I've done all that I can to make sure that this Porsche engine is operating successfully.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye. Hey guys, great news. The bearing carrier finally checked out. I got an accurate measurement. I have no idea what I was doing differently. The only thing I can think of is that I didn't clean it a whole bunch. I used some brake cleaner, and my wise master mechanic told me, master engine builder told me, you got to clean the S out of it, including using carb cleaner. So that's what I did. I cleaned the carrier down, and I got consistent measurements. I'm super happy about that. I was really worried that I had a bad batch of bearings. I took everything down. I remeasured it 3 or 4 times until I got my skills sharpened enough to get a proper measurement. And here we are. We're finally back on track. So what can we do now? Put it all together. So with that said, let's get started. All right, I'm using a new gimbal. It's an upgrade to my OM4 gimbal from DJI, so I haven't quite dialed it in, so I apologize if it's a little on the wonky side, but I'm working on it. All right, so this is the bearing carrier. I've got it torqued down. I used my bore scope. I used my bore gauge to measure the bearings. I don't like what it did to the bearings. It leaves like a little shiny scuff mark. It's almost like it's having a chemical reaction to the ball bearing here, but it's not leaving any type of gouge or anything. I don't feel it. I've taken my gloves off. Anyway, this is the carrier. That's the crank. I'm gonna get set up here. I'm gonna try to do a really fancy time lapse on this one. We'll see how it turns out, but here we go. All right, here we go. This is the main carrier. This is where I'll put all of the bearings. This is the very first step. I've got my 14 bearings ready to go, as well as the oil squirters. You'll see those there. Those have to go in first before you do anything. But before I started this, I want you guys to know that I'm not just following YouTube videos. I'm not just winging it. I decided to invest, and it's a really good investment, in the Jake Raby series of assembly books. And it's provided by the Knowledge Group, and he's not paying me to say this. I actually bought this with my money. I bought the videos as well as the assembly guide book, which is basically a verbatim version of what the video is all about. So if you can't get your video in front of you, you always have your book you can base it on. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to follow that verbatim. But my goal here is to not teach you how to assemble an engine. My goal here is to teach you on how easy it is to do. With some practice and some confidence, you can get this done. That's the whole point of Yogi's Garage, is that I'm going to show you skills. I'm going to teach you skills that you can apply in your garage so that you can accomplish something like this. You may not want to rebuild a Porsche engine. What if you just want to rebuild a 2-liter Audi engine like I did? Well, same thing applies here, same skill sets. This is just a more advanced approach. So let's talk about some of the other things that I'm going to need for this phase of the project. All right, well, first things first is you absolutely need an assembly oil and an assembly grease. I've got both here. I decided to go with Driven. Driven's the one who's providing me the break-in oil as well. And again, I say provide. I bought all of this with my money. This is for more of a more viscous application, and then this is a thicker application. I also have acid brushes, and I went ahead and took the liberty of cutting one of the acid brushes down so I get a more precise application. And if I want to just slather, I can just do this, slather, and then apply it on whatever I need it to do, whatever I need it to go on. All right. I'm also using paint pens for witness marks. So when I'm torquing and then I'm doing the torque to yield, I have 2 different colors here. It's very important that you know that you've torqued it and then that you've did the torque to yield step as well, because otherwise you may overstretch your bolt, so be careful. Moving on, I've got Kimtech wipes. Guys out there who've built engines before, you're not in your head. That's right. These are lint-free. They call them task wipes, but they're really good for keeping the lint off of your bearings when you're doing your primary or initial assembly. All right, so what else do we have? So besides the oil squirters and the bearings, you got to have your thrust washers. These are brand new. These are the 3 grooved thrust washers. So these will also be going in. I'll go ahead and stick those right there. And then as far as tools, you'll need a standard 3/8" torque wrench. I also have a digital torque wrench for the torque to yield step, so I'll whip that out when the time comes. And then a smaller torque wrench for doing inch pounds and smaller Newton meter measurements. This is very important here too. I've got a 3/8 and a 1/4 inch swivel as well. I've got my Ugga Dugga to help speed ratchet these things in. I will not be using this to torque, but it does a really good job in getting the bolts and fasteners started. So that's a very important tool. Not necessary, but I like it. A couple other things. A little pick to help get those oil squirters in. You know, you kind of need that. And then I'm using impact grade. This is something that Jake Raby recommended in his assembly video. And this is typically a recommendation for someone who's going to be assembling more than one engine. Well, Yogi's Garage is more than just one engine rebuild. This is my second one. So I decided to go ahead and splurge, and they're not all that expensive. So a lot of the bolts here you'll see are 12 point. So it's very important that you have the right type of tool, and these type have very little slop in them. If this is your first time visiting Yogi's Garage, first of all, thank you. But this is not just an assembly video. This is an assembly rebuild 3.6 to 4 liter conversion provided by LN Engineering. They re-sleeved my engine. I'll be sure to show you that in a future video. But then I'm going with forged components. So check it out. These here are the K1 connecting rods. These are awesome, and they have APR bolts on the end. And these are 11 millimeter, not 10 millimeter. That's why I need them. I already put the bearings on them, but I'm gonna take all that off and clean them before I start the whole thing. And of course, in here are my forged pistons. If you haven't seen the video of me opening that up, be sure to click that pop-up above so that you can get caught up. While I'm at this table, I can go ahead and show you what I have here. I have the cylinder heads out, even though I probably won't get to them anytime soon, mainly because I need to finish cleaning them. I sent them to a local machine shop, and to be honest with you, I think they did an awful job. I'm not gonna plug the machine shop because of this. I just had them bead blast it and clean it up. I did not want them to do anything with the valve guides or anything. I had them also check for warpage. They did a very bad job. I'm not happy. I won't recommend them. And it's really sad because this company's been around for a very long time, but it's pretty much like that everywhere. It's like they didn't take the time to get all the RTV off of this thing and, clean it up. These cylinder heads were not hot tanked. So they should be nice and bright, and they're really not. All right, so what I am gonna be doing right away is the crankshaft. So here's the crankshaft. It's been mic'd several times with an outside micrometer. Everything checks out. I have some concerns here on the grooving going on here on the front, or on the back, I should say, and then the rear main shaft as well. The rear main seal here has got a little bit of a divot. I'm gonna cover that with you as we get closer to that part of the build. And then of course, the infamous IMS. This is your intermediate shaft, and the bearing is on this side. I'm using a European part solution bearing. I will not be putting that European part solutions bearing back in the car. I'm hoping I can get my hands on an IMS solutions from Flat 6 Innovation, so I'm working on it. Guys, if you're listening to LN Engineering, Jake, if you're listening, hook me up. I want to show that thing off, and I want to do it while I'm assembling the engine. And of course, the timing chains. This here is a 2002 Porsche Carrera Cabriolet with the 3.6 liter engine in it. So it is a 3-chain system, not a 5-chain. 2001 to 1998 were 5-chain systems, and they had a different IMS bearing, but still susceptible, although not as much, to the issues with the IMS bearing failing. So this is where this engine's going in. But hey, you know what? If for some reason I don't want the engine in there anymore and I just want to buy a shell, can you imagine putting a 4-liter flat 6 engine in any other Porsche? Yeah, I mean, the car, the body's basically free. It's the engine that's really the expensive part of this car. So that's that. Oh, that crankshaft down there is to Gunther, my 1995 Mercedes-Benz E320 wagon. For the 100 or so folks that actually watched that series, thank you for that. But if you're interested about the story with that car, click that pop-up and you'll see all about it. Earlier in the video, you saw me working on it, trying to get it finally out of the garage so I can prepare this area for assembly. Oh, and one last thing before I continue. I'm gonna start cleaning this carrier, and I'm gonna recommend that you check out the carb and choke cleaner section of your auto parts department and use that instead of brake cleaner. Brake cleaner's good, but it's not strong enough to really clean off the gook or the sludge or whatever off of this. Take it from me, I measured this carrier 3 times, and until I used the carb and choke, and I got better at measuring, I didn't get the proper measurements. But I'm gonna say that it's cleaning is part of it, because no matter how clean you think you've got it, it can probably be a little bit cleaner. All right, let's do it. Yogi Mama's help here in a minute.
I'm helping.
This thing is heavy. Okay, I'm gonna do a partial torque. I'm not gonna measure it, I'm just not gonna click it all the way. Just wanna get about, 8 to 10. You start from the center out. Just kind of getting them tight. And then I'll come back, it's 25 Newton meters. We're not doing a torque to yield at this point. Did I just do those over there? I did, didn't I? That's all right. We're not doing a stretch because we got to check lateral movement. Looks good, man. It's spinning beautifully.
Yogi, I have questions.
Okay, I have answers.
So, 6 cylinders, right?
Yes.
Why are there 7 numbers?
Wait. Why are there 7? I don't know why there's 7. But I can tell you that there's 7. 7 journal for the main bearing, for the main crank. That's the center bearing on this thing. And then the 6 that you're referring to are the connecting rod journals on the crank, which are the ones that you see here moving.
So the spaces.
Yeah, in the spaces. These are where the connecting rods and the pistons will go. 3 on this side, and then 3 on the other.
All right, and it looks like a Smurf left little footprints across all of your
Yes,
bolts.
That is what you call witness marks, telling you, the assembler, that you've already torqued these bolts. But what's missing is the red dot, and I'm basically identifying blue as torque and red as torque to yield or stretch bolting. So that's what this is for right here. I've got my digital torque wrench, and I can demonstrate what a 90-degree stretch will be.
Now, because it's digital, you don't have to actually keep track yourself of the 90 degree. Is that true?
Correct. And you'll start in the middle. And then it'll beep once we get to 90. Okay?
Cool.
And then I take a red paint pen and dot it. And say, hey, that's been torqued and stretched. So don't do it again, in other words. That puts the final clamp on these. So yeah, I got a lot of work to do. Hey guys, that's about it for Yogi's Garage in this episode. I've done a lot of work. I got the garage all cleaned out. I took care of Yogi Mama's car, and she has room in here to park again. So yay, Yogi Mama.
It doesn't look like I have room to park in here.
I can move that out of the way, and we can park when the snowstorm. When it snows, you can park in here, okay?
It doesn't snow in Houston.
That's not really my problem, so. But hey, all joking aside, thank you guys for watching this episode. It's been a very special one because I'm transitioning away from the Mercedes-Benz content to the Porsche 911 content. So the next few episodes are going to be strictly on engine assembly and some behind the scenes like I've been doing. But I'm also putting together a behind the scenes and what's in Yogi's Garage, such as tools, things that I can recommend after 2 years of doing DIY YouTube content. I can tell you what to buy, what not to buy, things to avoid, things like that. So be on the lookout for that. This is your first time visiting Yogi's Garage. Thank you for that. I hope you enjoyed it. If you like what you saw, be sure to hit that thumbs up and subscribe because there's more coming. And I'm going to try to do this every week, even though I probably won't. It'll be more like 10 days. But I'll try. But with that said, thanks for watching Yogi's Garage. We'll see you next time.
Yo, microphone check, make it a microphone check. Give it a microphone, I make it a microphone dead. Don't step to me, newbie, I could truly be moody. I could have played the fucking Grinch in the movies. I've been a part-time shadow cat, part-time. That is not a guy that I would ever want to try to battle rap. Snap, crackle, pop, mind fried to a crisp.